יישר כוח. Hello, dear friends. I was just thinking to myself as Mark was inviting us to land in this moment together that it's the first time that I'm holding the sit on a Friday, because it's the first time that I'm in a time zone that I can do it. Usually, I live in Israel, so usually on Friday it's Shabbat already for us at this time. And what a joy to be sitting together a few hours before Shabbat, really. And what a joy to be sitting together in the last days of the week of Malchut, of receptivity. And as Mark said, we are on the day of Hod. Today we're in the day of Hod. And Hod, in a way, to me, is receptivity of receptivity, right? It's this kind of humility that we are invited to remember we have, to recognize what we receive from the outside. Hodaya, gratitude, comes from this recognition that I receive. And it takes some humility to not think that I am everything, but that I actually need something from someone or something that isn't me. Receiving takes some humility. The truth is we're already always receiving. We're receiving the breath any moment, really any moment, every moment. And we're just a couple of days away from the great day of receiving, the day of receiving the Torah. And I think many of you who are here are very dedicated Jewish spiritual practitioners. And perhaps you dedicated a lot of time to inquiring and studying and getting ready for Shavuot. What does it mean? And what is the counting of the Omer? And what happens on Shavuot, right? And I want to invite us today to go straight into perhaps the essence of things, which is extremely simple, to go into the simplicity of receiving. And in a way, that's the invitation of the week we're in right now, Malchut. And I shared it with my students this week and even an hour ago. Malchut is Kabbalah, corresponds to the quality of Kabbalah. Kabbalah means reception. So our mystical tradition is telling us, you don't need to be a spiritual seeker. You can be a spiritual receiver, because that's what it's about. It's not about getting the next thing, seeking, going to, building up towards. It's actually maybe doing what the Zen tradition calls the step backwards. Removing the superfluous, removing the noise. That's what we do when we meditate. You know, we stop, we just stop. We stop. And we make space. We make ourselves available so that we can receive. And so I want to share with you a very short teaching from the commentary of the Sfat Emet on this week's parasha. This Shabbat, we're also opening a new book, the book of Bamidbar in the desert. And I want to share with you something very simple but very profound that he says about this quality of receiving. I'm going to share my soul sheet. Do you see it? Okay. And I just really want to go here in the Midrash, okay? He's mentioning a Midrash, a very famous Midrash. נמשלה תורה במדבר, שצריך להיות הפקר כמדבר. There is a mashal, there is a parable, Torah. Okay, we're about to receive Torah. And the Midrash compares Torah to the Midbar, to the desert. And it says because the desert is hefker. Hefker is a space that belongs to no one. In Jewish law, it's actually important. We have several categories of reshuyot in Jewish law. We have reshut harabim, which is public space. We have holy spaces. We have private spaces. And we have something that's quite unique. It's a space that is hefker. It's ownerless. Okay? And he says, Sarich lihiot hefker kamidbar. Torah has to be ownerless, like the desert. And then it says, Umemidbar matana. He's quoting a verse further along in the book of Bamidbar, which is on the pshat, on the literal meaning of it, it's talking about space. It's talking about a journey. We're going from here to there. We're going from the midbar, from the desert, to a space, to a place that is called matana. But you know that Hebrew words sometimes can be read several ways. And this one, if you do a play on words, you can read it completely differently. Not as in from A to B, from here to there, but my friends, from the midbar, from the desert, we received a gift. We receive a gift. A gift is coming from the desert. And what is this gift? It's Torah. And what makes it possible for Torah to give itself and for us to receive Torah is that Torah makes itself like the desert. That is ownerless. And I'm going to stop sharing now. And perhaps ownerless sounds negative a little bit to you. It belongs to no one. It's kind of abandoned. But I want to suggest that it means the opposite. It means it's fully, fully available. It doesn't have one particular owner. It belongs to you and to me and to you and to you and to you and to you. That's hefker. It means available, and it means it's yours as much as mine and mine as much as yours. It belongs to all of us. And it's interesting because there are other explanations in our tradition that say, why was the Torah given in the desert? So that we can make ourselves hefker like the desert, so that we can make ourselves available like the desert. We also need to be available. We also had to leave Egypt and to have no owner. A slave has an owner. A free human being is not someone who doesn't live by any rules. It's someone who is not subjected to any rule. Do you see the difference? The difference is between choosing the rules by which I want to live as opposed to being subjected to rules and to being subjected to someone who dictates who I am and what I am to be. And there are still some places in the world where it's like that. And so we left Egypt so that we can be ownerless, so that we can belong to ourselves. And that's the opposite of alienation. So that we can be free to choose. And what's so beautiful in here is that you see that there is a mirror image between us and Torah, a reciprocity. And that's the definition of a real relationship. I have to make myself fully available if I want to receive. And Torah has to make itself fully available if it wants to be given and received. And that's the gift. That's the gift. And we're in the week of this gift. We're in the week of Malchut, of receptivity. And within that week, we're in the day of Hod, Hodaya, which is a form of deep receptivity. I receive. And I'm so glad that we're the day after. I mean, it started last night when Mark had his celebration, and that was all about this. And I think Mark is still receiving. Right? And I'm glad, Mark, that you're going into Shabbat now so that you have time. So let it keep unfolding, the gift that you received, because sometimes the Shefa is so strong that we need time. And so it is for us with Shavuot, that we need time. And you know, perhaps that's why we counted the Omer. Perhaps in a way that's even much more simple than the kind of deep ethical work of working on our midot, sphira after sphira, day after day. Perhaps the counting was a bit like, you know, in the Zen tradition, when you start learning meditation, you start by counting your breath. But it's not about the counting. It's about the showing up. Again and again and again. It's about remembering, oh yeah, I have to be present. Yeah. And perhaps that's what it was for us in the counting of the Omer. Oh yeah, I want to make myself available. Because in 49 days, and now in 48 days, and now in 10 days, and now in 3 days, it's coming. It's coming. So I want to invite us to do a meditation of just that, not seeking, not trying, relaxing deeply, sitting as the desert, as this vast open space that is just simply available. So I want to invite you to check in with your body now, to really come even more in your body if you were not already, to invite your eyes to come to a close. Invite the weight of your body to drop a little heavier. Invite your spine to stretch up a little higher. Your shoulders to relax a little deeper. If you feel any tension in the upper back, you can feel free to, at this point, lift your shoulders up and roll them back, and then let them come into place and see what it does, both to the shoulders, the neck, and the chest. I want to make myself available. And that starts with my body. Notice how my body is a teacher, how my breath is always available, unless I have, Chas v'shalom, a problem there, right? The natural way of the breath is that it's available and it's given, just like the Torah. It's just given. It's given and it's received. And then it's released. And then it's received again. And so I want to invite you to choose how you want to sit today. If you are very new to meditation and it can be helpful for you to stay grounded, you can count your breaths, literally 1 to 10 and back, or 1 to 7 if you want to play with the 7 weeks of the counting of the Omer. You can place a hand on your chest, on your heart, one on your belly. It's very helpful to stay grounded in the body. Or you can sit in what's called open awareness. Simply sitting. Simply receiving. Receiving the movements of thoughts, receiving the movements of breath, receiving sounds around you, sensations in the body. Available. And if ever you notice some distraction, let some sound or some thought took you away from this moment, Notice how you can say, okay, you're here. I'm just not going there. And I'm coming back. And sometimes it takes closing some doors to make ourselves available for another one. Returning and making ourselves available, moment after moment. the last 2 minutes of this seat, I want to offer an intention. We're about to receive Torah, which is ownerless, which means it also doesn't belong to us. We are here to embody it in the world. And the Torah was given to the world. And we can see how it's passed in human culture and cultures through other traditions and how it's illuminated the world. And what a privilege to be sharing our gift. And in this world as it is right now, with so much pain and heart stiffness, people being closed off, what if we embodied what it's like to make ourselves available, quiet? What if we offered our most beautiful presence? As we're about to receive the gift of Torah, can we give the gift of our presence to the world and to each other? May we make our presence a gift so that we can receive the gift. Beautiful breath in and out. And getting ready to say Kaddish, Rabbi Mark.
As always, thank you so much, Mira. Let's seal this beautiful practice today. For those of you who are not reciting Kaddish, really encourage you to please stay present. For those who are, and those who are in mourning or observing Yortzeit, or for whom it's a custom to join the Kaddish, are welcome to do so. And to put the name or names of any individuals or people you'd like to include that you're honoring today, you can put that in the chat now or after you recite Kaddish. And thanks to Harry for sharing the words on the screen. If you are joining me, please rise in body or in spirit, and you can unmute at this time.
Yit Kadal.
Hayechon v'yomechon v'yidachal v'Yisrael v'agalah Yishmei Rabban Barach Barach v'yishtabach v'yita'ar Mikol birchata v'shalom Amiran v'alma Yesh lama rabba mishmaya l'chaim Ko Yisrael Shalom b'mrama Ko
Amen.
Amen.
May all who are in mourning be comforted, along with all who are mourning everywhere. Friends, thank you so much for joining us today for this beautiful opportunity for us to sit into Shabbat and last time to be together during this Omer 5785. And if you're leaving us now, I want to wish you Shabbat Shalom and a Chag Sameach. Just a reminder that we will not be meeting on Monday or Tuesday next week as we celebrate Shavuot. And we will be back on Wednesday through Friday for our regular schedule and going forward. So for leaving us now, we hope to see you next Wednesday. As always, all our sessions are not only live streamed on YouTube, but all the recordings are posted on our YouTube channel, including this beautiful session today. So please feel free to use those resources for your own practice until we meet again live. Thanks to Harry Goboa, as always, for holding our space, and to our teacher today, Rabbi Mira Niculescu, for leading us, as always, so beautifully, and looking forward to exploring that teaching and having folks share your reflections on your experience with the teaching today. If you have a question, as always, you can put that in the chat. Please write question all in caps, and I will do my best to work your questions into the conversation. So thank you so much, Mira. I know you're coming off of 2 back-to-back retreats and coming right out, so I really appreciated the energy, the flow from those 2 retreats coming through today. It's always beautiful, but today, and also it hadn't occurred. I mean, it occurred to me like that you had never led on Friday. I thought, well, this is great. This is great. Thank you for helping us move together into Shabbat. You were our retreat, so I want to connect some dots with the last couple of days of our sets. On Wednesday, Shir Me'er Fight was talking about, it was Rosh Chodesh Sivan, and he was talking about association of the month of Sivan with the letter Zayin, which actually I had not been aware of, and about Zayin as connoting movement. So the theme of that set on Wednesday was movement and stillness, or being still and noticing movement and aliveness. And then yesterday, Inner Julie Newman was leading us into also this kind of awareness of stillness. And I just am so the Sfat Emet that you brought and shared with us today, and the midrash that the Sfat Emet references is one of my favorites. So I want to zoom in on that. Just want to let's go right in on that. To say that in order to acquire, one cannot acquire Torah unless one makes oneself hefker, ownerless. So 2 things. One, I thought, oh, so interesting. That's a word that we use at the very beginning, just before the Omer, when we check for chametz and destroy the chametz. For those who aren't familiar, it's the night before Pesach we do a ritual hunt for chametz, and then we burn it or destroy it in the morning, and we say a formula that says, like, whatever I have not found, let it be hefker ka'afra ara, let it be ownerless like the dust of the earth, right? So it just occurred to me, what a beautiful way to frame this whole period. So thank you for that, to bring us back to that question of hefker. Maybe this whole 7 weeks is really a spiritual practice of developing the capacity to consider ourselves hefker ka'afra ara, like the dust of the earth, and then we can receive Torah. So I'm very interested, and I'm especially with you, I'm really interested in identifying what's Jewish about Jewish mindfulness meditation. And it seemed to me from that teaching and today's practice that this concept of we cannot receive wisdom unless we can make ourselves ownerless. So I want to ask you that question, ownerless, what does that mean? What does that mean for us in practice, as we're sitting here and we're noticing our ego and our thoughts and our self, and basically we're trying to kind of release that selfhood. At least that's how I'm sensing it, that we're trying to remember, I don't own myself, really, right? That's basically what it comes down to. So I wanted to zero in on that, see what you think.
That's quite powerful what you just said. I think all I have I mean, all I feel like doing is echoing what you just said. I don't own myself, you know?
So in terms of meditation, right. So in terms of meditation, and also there's another passage in it, maybe I'll share it very quickly, that caught my eye that we can look at because you didn't get a chance to focus on it, I think, in your teaching. I highlighted it. So it is here,
I'm
so we can
sure you
really
would like
hear
this.
it. The primary effort in Torah study is to nullify one's own intellect and understanding. He uses the Hebrew terms sichlo, one's intellect,
Yeah,
dato, and one's understanding,
yeah,
in order to know and to experience, to understand the will of the Holy One
yeah,
and the awareness, the consciousness of Torah. So
yeah.
it's
Beautiful.
really well, it's you brought
Oh,
this.
but I'm gonna say something about it. Yeah.
Yeah, please. So I just felt like, people think about, well, we're meditating, right? But in a sense, it's more than that. We are really always in meditation, preparing ourselves to receive wisdom and Torah. We're not just, Dayenu, it's enough if we just settle ourselves and, you know, calm ourselves and relax, and breathe. Dayenu, that's enough. But actually, it's for the sake of allowing wisdom to arise, which is not our wisdom, right?
Exactly.
And have an awareness that, oh, it's not my wisdom, right? This is coming from a deeper or more transcendent place.
Yeah. I was just sharing to my students on a retreat that I love doing this practice of defining one thing by one word.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so Jewish meditation, it's really a preparation. As you said, it's a preparation, right? The physical, the physiological and mental effects are wonderful, but that's just like wonderful side effects in a way. But it's a preparation for nevuah. Nevuah is prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
It means I made myself so available,
Mm-hmm.
cleanse myself. I cleanse my consciousness from the layers of resistance and ego and fear and conditioning and all the things that walled me from life. I let this dissolve, and so that the shefa, the flow of life, can move through me. Life can move through me. And that's receiving Torah also. And what you highlighted, the passage I didn't read because I wanted to simplify, but what you highlighted is very important because you see it's one after the other in the commentary. One is basically saying, he doesn't say it this way, but that's the subtext. We have to make ourselves honorless. That's what it says, exactly as you saw. And so he's saying something. He's saying, I'm just quoting as I remember, צריך אדם לבטל שכלו ודעתו. כדי לידע ולהבין. And that is so interesting because basically he says twice the word that. And
Right.
that has different levels of meaning, just like ira. And that is, knowledge. And that is consciousness, awareness.
Mm.
So the bitul here, the annihilation, a bit like the annihilation of the chametz that we do before Pesach,
Mm-hmm.
kind of relinquishing, letting go of my own opinions, my own, thoughts, and my thoughts of like I am, the master of my mind and I understand the world, and my own opinions and sichlo. It's fascinating that he says in order to receive Torah, and when you learn Torah, you literally have to let go of your thinking mind. In order to leida velehavin, and so to have this knowledge as in awareness and bina, understanding. And I was pointing to my students that these are the upper sfirot, which we don't count, but
Mm-hmm.
they're there all along as the kind of almost the
Mm-hmm.
level before we start, like the pre-beginning, and also the ending point is to have this upper triangle,
Mm-hmm.
like ma bina and that understanding and wisdom. And in order to get to that space, to get to that place, we have to make ourselves ownerless. And I think, as you said,
Mm-hmm.
Jewish meditation can be described as a practice of making myself ownerless, of making my ego kind of leave, it's kind of shlita, like it's kind of governing of, to really levatel, to letting go, just like we let go of the chametz. We're really coming full circle here.
I don't want to get too nerdy here with the Kabbalistic aspects here, but what you just said, I thought is really so incredibly helpful. for people who are not so familiar, these seven so-called lower sphirot that are the weeks that we are going through, and we're here in week 7. The last one, final one in the sequence is Malchut or Shekhinah, or as Mira said, receptivity, sometimes, or interpreted as presence. And there are the 3 other spheres which are above, which are transcendent. And really the process Kabbalistically describes the emanation of divine into this world, right? So it gets progressively more imminent in this world and present, so that Malchut is like really the indwelling divine, right? That's in this world from the transcendent. But what you just described is that we go through this process as it were, as God becomes more embodied, we kind of hollow ourselves out, and as a result are able to, sounds like, tell me if I'm wrong, it's, so even though it's a tree of life with a vertical, actually, just you said we circle back, right? So it's actually misleading to think of it in that kind of linear way, that it's actually more circular, that when we move through Malchut, then actually it goes right back to this dimension that we actually cannot touch, right? And which is not, in which our human material, physical self, needs to be hollowed out in order to be able to allow that to move through us and start the process again. Did I get that right from you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The line is a spiral, just like most lines we have, both in the world and in the Jewish timeline, actually.
Yeah, yeah. And want to point out, maybe you want to say, we have a couple of minutes here, but I mentioned this yesterday, but that I'm always drawn, especially in contemplative Judaism, to the midrashim, to these interpretations that say that at Sinai, really, there was this stillness and silence.
I
And
love
that, yeah, well, we would, wouldn't we? We like those. So, that stillness that you're describing is that kind of that same process where everything is this quiets down. And it's really a beautiful description of Jewish mindfulness meditation practice. And even though you threw a Zen concept in there, what do you call it? Stepping back, was that it? What was it?
back, the step back. But really, I mean, we know it in Zen, but that's what we do all the time. That's what it's about for us.
And we've got it, and we have
Cool.
Team Sum in our, withdrawal or contraction in our tradition too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I can't think of a better way for us to, we're not quite there yet, but we're almost at Sinai. So,
We're almost at Sinai.
okay. All right. I hope everyone has their tickets, reservations. I will be in section E, row 22 at Sinai. And stop by if you want to at the snack department. I'll meet everyone there at Sinai on Sunday night. And always a pleasure, Mira. Thank you so much. Maybe Harry, we should put if we didn't already, for those of you, you're right on it, Harry. Well done. Kol hakavod. These are offerings from Mira that are wonderful. And also a shout out. Somebody in the chat asked, have you written any books? It's like, well, I don't know if you've written any books yet, but Mira writes a beautiful weekly guide to this week through IJS to the parasha based on the Hasidic teachings of the Meori Naim, called Open My Eyes. And not too late. If you're not subscribed to that, you can join us in process. We got still two more books of Torah to go, and you'll get the whole year's worth of study. So, and a live session with Mira every month also for that.
Yeah, please come. It's great.
All right, Mira. Shabbat Shalom. So it's nice to be able to say that to you on Friday.
Okay.
Shabbat Shalom to everyone. A Chag Sameach, and we'll see you back on Wednesday. Hope you have a sweet
Shalom.
Shabbat and a wonderful Shavuot, everyone. Be well.
Shabbat Shalom.